What's up guys, and welcome back to another Geeky Gecko Creations holdback video. I know a lot of you guys have been enjoying this series thus far, but we have a lot more geckos to go through. I'm going to try to pick out some really good ones for you today, so let's get rocking and rolling. Alright guys, this is from our Mandarin Inferno projects, and this gecko is officially a red dragon. A red dragon is a gecko that is super hypo, non-albino, and has very deep reddish orange tones. I mean, hopefully I'll be able to get the camera to pick up this guy's red color, but this guy is very orange red. And so, actually a girl, sorry. Yep, this is a girl. You could see the color under her belly, bleeding well into her belly, which is very common for the Mandarin genetics. Very nice, rich, dark black eyes, as you can see. And yeah, we will continue to keep breeding for redder and redder leopard geckos. And this one is definitely going to help contribute to that. All right, guys, this belongs to our Dark Tangerine project. And just as it sounds, it is tangerines that came out darker than average, like this little one, but has no melanistic, no black knight, no black pearl, no charcoal, no other lines that should cause darkness, but they just turn out dark. And so we will use these in dark tangerine projects, maybe even black knight projects moving forward. So this is just a minor side note of a project, but you can see right here on the gecko's head, it looks like a heart. Maybe even a person, right? The circle right there is the head. The sides of the heart are like the arms, and the middle is the torso. But interesting head pattern geckos like this, if we could create a heart line of leopard geckos to get heart-shaped pattern consistently on the head, that would be pretty cool. So this is from our Afghanicus Turkmenicus projects, saving it for heart head geckos. Love ya. One more example of how something like that would be possible. Look at this pure Afghanicus girl right here with the same heart-like shape / humanoid shape on her head. So Afghanicus is known for these really interesting head patterns. One time I had a sea turtle, and unfortunately that girl got egg bound and passed away, but man, I really loved that gecko and was hoping to create sea turtle lines, but for now I'll have to work with heart heads. All right, this is our Obsidian Black Knight project. It is Black Knight mixed with Afghanicus, and I am hopeful that these animals we can create to be darker than average, because Afghanicus is a very dark line naturally, like you just saw in the gecko before this. A lot of spotting, a lot of black pattern, a lot of richness to them naturally. So mixing them with the Black Knight, you're going to get some really cool stuff. And this is only a crossback, a second generation of that, and you can see how pitch black this animal is. And if I get a little bit closer, you could see these circular forms on them, and that is with me using flash and producing a lot of harsh light on this animal, just so that you could even barely see those patterns. And so this animal will be used for something called our Sailor Moon project.
Moon Prism Power Makeup!
Where we have an all black gecko with yellow circles going down the back of the gecko. That's going to be very hard to do in all black form, but never say never, and you can't accomplish something that you do not try. So this will be our Obsidian line as well as Sailor Moon line / project. All right, this is a Fasciolatus Max Snow Eclipse visual. And so you guys already know about my Mr. Freeze Fasciolatus Max Snow project. When the Eclipse gene is mixed in there, this is a little sassy girl right here. She was nipping at me. You can hear her. She is not happy to be woken up for this video. So we're just going to keep our fingers nice and flat so she doesn't nip any. And we're just going to talk about her. But you can see how high white her sides are, as well as her legs. She has a little cocoa on her mouth there. Her eyes are solid black, so she's a solid black-eyed Eclipse. One copy of the Snow Gene, but very nice lavenders and pinks and super high white. And that is partially because of the Fasciolatus, which you guys know that we can't speak highly enough about the Fasciolatus. That brings in just more of a kind of outer space looking animal. I call it outer space because it kind of looks like all the spots are just randomly thrown on its back, as if you're looking up at the night sky. And so this is definitely one of my top 5 favorite projects. And this is an Eclipse version, so I wanted to hold this girl back to make more McFlurries. If you missed our McFlurry video, I will show that here in the top right corner, as well as our Mr. Freeze video that demonstrates what a McFlurry is, what a Mr. Freeze is, and this one is a McFlurry technically, although it doesn't look as nice as the McFlurry in that main video that I just posted in the top right corner. But we want to make more of those, so we need her to help us do so. Bye, sweetie. You better now? We good? Are we okay? I think she's okay now. Maybe just because I startled her from her nap. All right, this one is a super giant Mandarin blood emerine, 100% het tremper albino. And so we do have a giant slash super giant Mandarin and Mandarin Inferno blood project. And so I wanted to hold back some of the finer examples of that. And this one just has really good contrast between the green coloration and the orange coloration. So you could clearly see those bands popping out there. And so if you want to put pattern onto an animal, or if you want to create distinct green coloration mixed with orange coloration, this guy will do well for that project. And of course, since he's a supergiant, I thought he was worthy enough to hold back. You always need breeders and backup breeders, so even though he may not be the best example of supergiant Mandarin blood that we have, he sure will make a good backup breeder, and he's actually not too bad himself. Look at those nice green spottings and bandings. All right, you can never have enough S-tier Black Knight males because they are super hard to produce, and even from S-tier to S-tier pairings, you may only get 1 or 2 of these guys that are S-tier out of every 10 babies or so. So when you do get these guys, most breeders will just either hold them back or list them for super high pricing. You can see I get really close to the flash right here, and I'm shining really harsh bright white light on it, and it's barely showing any pattern through. So this is definitely a really great example of an S-tier male that we will be able to use for all of our Black Knight projects. He also has diversity of DNA, and he's actually only 75% Black Knight, 25% from Max Snow lineage, but it is really good to get mixed DNA in there so that you are not inbreeding your Black Knights too much. You need to be adding fresh DNA, which is why we put Turkmenicus into it, Afghanicus into it, Max Snow bloodlines into it, Blizzard bloodlines into it, Tangerine bloodlines into it. We mix a lot of bloodlines into our Black Knight projects to create the darkest as well as the healthiest and most diverse DNA'd Black Knights. So really cool. Okay, this little gecko, not the most colorful tool in the shed, but it has a really unique straight dash of white pattern going down its back, and when it was younger, its pattern was like zigzags. And so sometimes that pattern blends into the general color as it gets older. Some of it may last. You can see some of that white zigzaggy pattern has lasted, but we will take a gecko like this, breed it to our storm or hurricane project or our puzzle project for leopard geckos, which has like puzzle pieces fitting on its back, or other geckos that we have that have zigzaggy type features to accentuate those marks over time. And in time, we will be able to get both color and extreme zigzaggy pattern. And who knows what other kind of cool patterns will pop out as well. Like I said, we have a lot of swirly storm-like leopard gecko patterns that are we call our hurricane or storm project, but this one you could even see the zigzag going onto the tail, so you could kind of see those dashes and zigzags kind of going down the tail as well. And this is a Tremper albino. If it was not a Tremper albino, we would probably see more of those zigzags. So we will probably try to breed this to a non-Tremper albino so that we can see those zigzags even more. Because albinism, anytime you have albino mixed in with an animal, it's going to dilute the amount of pattern and color variation that you could see in the animal to a certain degree. So I think this will be a pretty neat project to work into fruition. All right, here's our Mandarin Inferno project mixed with our Bold project. So that's one of the reasons why you see a little bit more spotting on this one than you would see on a traditional Mandarin Inferno. But you can see this one has really dark reddish orange pattern, as well as these light green bands to kind of give it a really cool look. And so we could work this into our tiger project, our banded tiger project, our red dragon project, our green monster project, or any other emerine or tangerine project, clown, joker, anything like that. Even black knight if we really wanted to, because this gecko has so many different features that could benefit so many different projects. Okay, I just love this look as well. This is from our TBS, or thick bold stripe, white and yellow project lines. So you can see some very nice striping going down the tail. This is a Tremper albino. You can see some broken striping going down the sides, but then the head also has some really interesting and wonky kind of patternation to it. I don't think that's a word, but I use that a lot. So a gecko like this would be great for any kind of white and yellow, hyperxanthic, Halloween mask, bandit, thick bold stripe, or heavy bold pattern project. So we will definitely hold this girl back because we have some very nice boys along those project lines, and especially our firebolt project lines as well, that I think we can create some phenomenal geckos with. All right, I just like to do unique things whenever I get the opportunity. This is a Afghanicus Blizzard Possible Max Snow, and what's special about this is there's not many Afghanicus Blizzards out there. There's a lot of blizzards, but not too many Afghanicus blizzards. A matter of fact, I can't even think of one person that I know that is breeding Afghanicus into blizzard. And the goal with this project is Afghanicus is a darker overall subspecies, which is why we bred it into the Black Knight. And I'm hoping that by breeding it into blizzard as well, that we will be able to bring out more dark features consistently, or just interesting looking blizzards. All right, let's see if we can get this girl to sit still, because she has been rocking and rolling since I brought her out. So we'll talk about her quickly. She's from our Mandarin Inferno Firebolt Black Knight project lines, and so you can see some cool green contrast as well as orange contrast. So we could use her for a jungle project, an emerine project, a tangerine project, a lava Black Knight project, clown, joker, anything like that that we feel like we want to accentuate from those project lines. She would be a great girl for any of those projects. All right, so it may be a little hard to tell with the camera lighting and whatnot, but this little gal is from our Black Knight Afghanicus lines, and for lack of a better term, some of those animals have a more monotone grayish appearance to them. So the goal of a project like that might not be complete darkness, but would rather be accentuating this werewolf gray monotone kind of look. And so you might be able to see that a little bit now. So we have a few of these geckos that have kind of come out with this monotone color where they're not really showing yellow or anything like that. It's just black, gray, like this lavenderish purple, and variations of white/silver. I did speak about this project goal a little while ago, so I'll leave the werewolf video here in the top right corner and let you guys take a look at that project more in detail. All right, here we got another red dragon leopard gecko, and this leopard gecko just has accentuated features of reddish orange color. It does have this kind of pale white line going down the back, but the goal of this project line would be to further enhance the red coloration, and so we are keeping her back for that reason. Here's an A tier Black Knight male. So I just want to show you what an A tier looks like compared to an S tier. So on some S tiers, you can see some pattern bleeding through, but overall they will be much darker. So like with this guy, you could almost barely see any patterning coming through, and I might have called him an S tier if his blackness was blacker, right? So compared to like the S tier earlier in this video, if you want to rewind and see the difference between the two, you can see when I move closer to this guy, even the areas that are black are more of this like lavender brownish black. But he has so much coverage that he's pretty much black from head to toe. It's just he's not super black. So this would be a good example of what I would call an A tier Black Knight compared to earlier in the video when we showed 1 or 2 S tiers. I can't remember, but just wanted to kind of point that out for you guys. All right, now I've spoken about the cheetah project in the last couple holdback videos, and I think I've shown you some good examples of that. This one is actually not like, it does have a lot of spots, which is what we're going for with the cheetah. But with the cheetah, we're going for more random spots and even coverage. This gecko actually has like these weird spots that kind of line up in like diagonal zigzaggy type lines. So I thought that was an interesting look. Plus the color yellow on this one, I don't know if it's picking it up in the video. Very jumpy. As you can tell, our cheetahs are from Turkmenicus wild type bloodlines mixing in with tangerine, so a lot of them tend to have a little bit more spunkiness to them. Not all, but some. But it has this just like, I don't know, creamy yellowish orange color to it that is different than some of our other cheetahs, so I really like that. Plus it has like this flowery type head stamp on the head. Look at that. Doesn't that look kind of cool? What do you think that looks like? It's on the tip of my tongue that looks like something, but I just don't know what. So let's take a look from that angle. Let's take a look from the side, and let's take a look from the front. What do you think that looks like? But really cool project. Now she's sitting still a little bit. And so we will breed her into our yellowish orange cheetah line. All right, so you've probably seen me mention the white lip project in my last couple of videos. So I just want to show you how we are holding back geckos that have higher amounts of white on the lips, like that, so that ultimately both the bottom lip and the top lip will be completely white. And as we line breed for that over time, we should or may be able to get that white pattern to creep into the head / nose of the gecko. So this will be a project that will probably take some time and some evolutions, but we will keep you updated on this over the years. Plus the white lip tangerines, they just have a much more cleaner look to them and like this two-tone contrast. So like when you take a look at their belly, it's pure white compared to like that red dragon mandarin inferno that we showed earlier in the videos, the ones that are really reddish orange. Their bellies are orange. But these guys, they have very clean, look at that, very clean white bellies. And there's like 50-50, like as soon as, like you could see a clear break between where the color starts and the whiteness starts. And they just have this very, for lack of a better term, clean cut look to them. So you can see a little bit better there. Very clean looking. Like a very distinguished gentleman. Except this is a girl, so whatever the girl version of that would be. All right, this one's in shed, but it's not the color we need to show off, but the pattern on the head. So I don't know if I've talked about this in past videos yet, but we have this side project called the nose drip project. And what that means is pattern that is dripping down the nose, like straight lines, we are saving to breed back to each other to see if we can consistently create a nose drip project line. So you can see that straight line going down the center of the nose. This one has a little bit of like circular formation and then the drippy straight line. Some of them just have a straight line. And so we'll see. This project can go many different directions depending on the shapes that the line takes. But ultimately, I thought it was pretty unique to get animals that have this dripping black pattern down the nose, and so we will be holding some of those back. This is a Mandarin Turkmenicus, and whenever we breed our strong Mandarin bloodlines into Turkmenicus, we get these really cool looks. We get green heads, white patches, lavender patches, black spotting, yellow-orange color, and of course white, which is the base color of the animal. So this is one of the ones we're holding back just because it has a very nice expression of all of those features that I just mentioned, all those different colors kind of blending together. And this is just the first generation one. We have some that are much more colorful than this one, but this will be a nice addition to those projects, especially since she's a girl. We could take some of the males that we have, which are more colorful or have more distinct spotting or whatever the case is, breed them to her, and we should continue to create some amazing stuff. All right, every once in a while you just pop out something that just looks unique. And this is from our Mandarin Inferno Hyperxanthic Bold Tremper Albino lines. It is a Purple Rain. So Purple Rain is this line of Tremper Albino that we have, which produces these dark purple bandings right here. Very similar to the JMG Black Blood line, except this project isn't as far along yet, and we did not use Black Blood genetics to create this. We just started hatching out geckos one day that had darker Tremper albino genetics to them, that had this purplish hue, and so I just held those geckos back in case I want to make something of it one day. But it might be hard to tell on camera, but the color of this gecko, it's not super orange, it's not super yellow, it's something in between, and it just has a really unique look to it. I mean, we have hatched thousands of geckos over here over the last few years, and this one is definitely unique. So when I say unique, I mean that out of thousands of geckos, it's very rare for one to look like this from those project lines. And so that is worth taking a note of and being like, what is causing that? Do I like it? And what can I do to replicate this look or take the project deeper? So very nice tempered gecko as well. Now it may be a little harder to tell with this one, but I wrote holdback for a couple of reasons. Number one, when it was growing up, it was like this neon colored animal. It had bright coloration to it. And even though that brightness has died out a little bit as it has gotten older, it still has a lot of visible greens and a lot of visible reddish orange color, like pure red tones to it. And so because of that, and because this is a girl, I could take a really high-end red dragon boy or fire boy or white and yellow tangerine boy, emerine, anything like that, and we can get some really good reddish orange geckos with green emerine colors to them by breeding her to them. So she's definitely worth holding back, even if she's lost kind of that neon color. But it's good to take note of those things when the geckos are growing up, because some projects, you have to base it on what the animal looks like when it's younger, and then if it loses that pattern a little bit when it gets older, it just means that that project needs to be refined. It needs to be worked. It needs some time to bring it to fruition to where those colors hold into adulthood. But you can't get those colors to hold into adulthood unless you first see them in juvenile state leading into subadult state. But regardless, this girl's gonna be great because of her red coloration, and so no matter what, she will be a good breeder for us. All right, now this gecko is just fantastic. This is from our Mandarin Inferno Tremper albino bloodlines, and I call it white spot. Do you see that white pattern right there? It's kind of this lavenderish white color in person, but that whitish lavender color is actually the lack of pigmentation. So the base color of all leopard geckos is white, right? Look at the belly, white, the tail, white, the bottom of the chin, white. All leopard geckos' base color is white. Now from there, breeders have been able to take features that they see and accentuate them over time by breeding them to other animals that have similar features, like high yellows with high yellows to produce high yellows, blacks with blacks to produce blacks, oranges with oranges to produce more oranges, greens with greens to produce more greens, jungle with jungle, stripe with stripe, band with band. All of those project lines are created by breeding animals that have similar features to each other. So I call this the white spot project. The goal of this project is to get higher and higher amounts of that patternless area, that colorless area, pigmentless area right there, to spread over the back of the whole gecko, so that one day we might be able to have a gecko that has an orange head, an orange tail, orange legs, but a white torso. Stuff like that. So that is obviously the dream. We will see how close we can get to that dream. Let's say 20 years from now. It might not even take that long. It might not even be possible. However, leopard gecko genetics usually accelerate very, very quickly. So if something like that is possible and a breeder was focused on it, realistically, you might be able to see something like that in 5 to 10 years. But if not, it might take a little bit longer, or it just might be impossible, meaning that it just won't happen. But this is a good sign that it can happen. And the same thing happened with pied super snows. So I'll throw up a picture of a pied super snow here. When they first started, they had very low expression of patternless white area. But then with years and years of refined breeding, breeders were able to breed animals that have almost 100% patternless spotting on their body, 100% pied effect. And so we'll see if we could do something similar with an animal like this. All right, guys, incoming, one of my favorites of this video. This is a Mandarin Inferno bold cross, and the project lines that I'm saving this for should be pretty clear. Dark tangerine, high emerine, and just overall unique quality and goodness. So this animal was a very unique hatch out of our Mandarin Inferno bloodlines. Like I said, 1 out of 1,000, 1 out of every 2,000 will pop out weird and unique like this. And so those are the ones that you'll want to hold back and put into groups of projects of animals where you want to accentuate the features that you see on this animal. So very rich contrast between this lavender banding on the body, the orange, the dark orange coloration, these green kind of outlines around the purple, and then the head being super, super green. The arms are even green, just a really unique animal, even green into the tail. Just super unique animal. Let's see what the belly is. The belly, she's ovulating, but the belly is like a white, but some of that color is bleeding in, the orangey green coloration. You can see. Also, when this one was a baby, it had an X on its head. So you can no longer see that X anymore. But remember what I said a second ago about holding back and marking unique patterns that you see on babies so that you could hold those animals back and try to reproduce that look to last into adulthood. And so her little toes are folded. There we go. And so I marked her tub as having an X on her head. And there's a couple other geckos we had that have some very strong X markings on their head, and so we will try to breed those geckos together to see if we can get those X patterns to actually stand out into adulthood. But super, super nice, unique animal right here. All right, so from my last video, you guys should be aware of what a spider red stripe is. It is when the red stripe pattern branches off down the sides of the gecko, similar to highway exits or on-ramps. So if this is the highway, here's some exits and on-ramps. And I won't spend too long talking about this because you can see it in this last video of mine here in the top right corner. But red stripe makes the animals brighter, gives them this unique lining and striping across their body, and the striping makes it branch off. So beautiful morph to work with. I'm just going to show this one off since I don't show off too many bells right now. I actually have a lot of holdback bells that I will be showing off, but since I haven't shown a lot of bells up to date, I just want to show this one. And this one's not super high quality, but it is a female. Bell albinos do have lighter eyes, so you probably won't be able to see this girl's eyes because she will be hiding them, but let's see if we can kind of get her to show us her eyes real quick. But they are a little bit more light sensitive than Tremper albinos, so I don't really like that part about them, but golly, do they have a different look to them. They have these light, bright pink eyes, and then they also have like a lighter and brighter pink body. So if you're looking for like higher pinks and lavender colorations, like lighter lavender, you will see that a lot with bells. There's really a lot of variation to bells. People have all kinds of projects going on with them now. To me personally, the way that I typically describe them to people is they're lighter and brighter, and Trempers will be more vivid and saturated. So really cool girl either way. Now here's a great example of a high quality tangerine bell. So you can see lighter and brighter coloration, much more than the last gecko. Let's see if we can see the pink eyes. I doubt it because we have flash on the camera, so they're not going to want to open up their eyes. But you could just see like almost highlighter neon colors, versus with Tremper albinos you will experience a lot more deeper, richer tones. With bells, you'll experience a lot more brighter, vivid tones. That being said, this bell albino has some very dark tangerine albino lines. These lines are almost like pure, what do I want to call that? Like dark gray, almost lavender gray. And it may be a little hard to see, but the bright orange coloration is outlining each and every one of those dark pigment spots, just giving it a really nice, unique look to the gecko. So super cool. See if we could look at his face. It may be difficult to pick up the red coloration, but this guy just has dashes of red all over him. Pretty cool. A lot on the tip of his face here, so okay, baby. So we'll see if we can show that off a bit. But super, super cool project and morph. All right, this Black Knight Max Snow right here just has a really cool look to it. So again, with the Black Knight project, the main goal is always getting blacker and blacker animals. But an animal like this that has a very monochrome look to it, monochrome means variations of one tone, right? So you have black, lavender, white, silver, gray. Those are all variations of one skin tone, basically, like one color tone. And so for lack of a better term, these animals that I have that are part of this werewolf project, they will have this more monochrome look to them. So some of them will be like monochrome from Turkmenicus or Afghanicus, and some of them will be monochrome from Black Knight and Max Snow bloodlines, but still really cool. Still got the nice blue eye blushing above the eyes there. So this was another one right beneath it as well. Very monochrome type look, right? Variations of basically white, black, silver, gray, and lavender, which I kind of consider as a tone of gray as well. So it just gives the animal a really unique look to them. Now here's an example of a Black Knight Max Snow that does not have the monochrome look to it. So I want to show you guys that I'm really onto something with that project, because this is a Max Snow. The last two ones you saw are Max Snow, but look how much more yellow coloration this animal has compared to those last two Max Snows. And this one I would not describe as monotone. This has tones of different color. It has shades of yellow, brown, obviously like purplish lavender within the black, and then of course white. But the werewolf monochrome project is basically variations of the same shade. You know, so if you want to look at those two geckos, rewind and look at those two geckos, which are monochrome werewolf Max Snow Black Knights, compared to this one, which is just a Max Snow Black Knight that I would not consider monochrome or werewolf project. And he did just bite me as I was putting him back away, but thankfully he's not a very big boy right now, and he wasn't in like a hyper aggressive state, so the bite didn't even break the skin. But I'll spray it with some alcohol, wipe it around, we're good to go. Now I just want to show this one because I want to educate you guys on something that happens with Black Knight and Super Snow. So this is actually a Super Snow Black Knight. However, it doesn't look Black Knight, right? Now there are Black Knights that are Super Snow that are completely pitch black. There's some very high quality ones, but when this one was a baby, it was solid black as a baby. One of the reasons for that is whenever you have Super Snow mixed with Black Knight, a lot of times those babies are solid black or like a blackish gray, and people get really excited thinking that the animal is going to look like that forever. But what happens with a lot of Super Snow Black Knights that start off pitch black, they actually turn out just to be normal looking like this. Now I'm keeping this girl because she is 75% Black Knight and she's a Super Snow, so she's going to work really good for our panda project over here, even though she's not super black. If I pair her to a really black male, I know that we can get really black leopard gecko babies and potentially even some eclipses in there to contribute to our panda project over here. But I really just wanted to talk about her to show you and educate you that if you buy a Black Knight Super Snow as a baby and it's all black, it might not stay that way. So just kind of be aware of that principle that happens. Okay, now there are two super nice high-end leopard geckos from that rack that I was showing that were in shed, so I didn't want to show them off in this video. And then there were some geckos that I skipped over because maybe I felt like they weren't super high quality, and I've talked about those projects before, but I'm just keeping those geckos back for diversity of genetics, quantity of bloodlines, and all that kind of stuff. So I didn't want to kind of waste video time showing geckos that you could see from our last 2 holdback videos here. So this is the 3rd holdback video. We will probably have at least 5 or 6 holdback videos over the next couple months or so. I am getting ready to do another Leopard Gecko website update, but there are about 100 Leopard Geckos available on the website right now. We also have these really cool Gotta Catch 'em All Tangerine Charizard shirts, as well as our Toothless Edition shirts, and some other shirts that I have working in the making right now too. So you will see those shirts popping up periodically on our website as I create the new logos and designs. So I thank you guys very much for viewing this video. Please leave a comment below with what you think about it, and if you have any questions or anything like that, and I'll catch you guys next time. Until then, have yourself a geeky gecko great day. Peace.